The Singapore Police today warned against holding protests here in relation to recent developments in Myanmar. This follows online posts by Myanmar nationals working or residing in Singapore, planning protests and encouraging people to participate. A police statement said that foreigners who break the law will face punishments, which may include termination of visas or work passes.
Well, protests, though, are continuing in Myanmar. Footage of people in apartments banging pots and pans in protest has gone viral. Singaporean Joanne Lim, who's in Yangon, said she was, quote, honestly so moved to tears.
Singaporeans living in Myanmar told the Straits Times that military rule has made little difference to everyday life, though there is an air of uncertainty as the situation could change any time.
The president of Singapore Association Myanmar said the chaos was unnerving, but things settled after a few days. He added there are no roadblocks or large-scale violence on Yangon streets, and he's been going about with his day as usual.
Indochina Bureau Chief Tan Hui Yi joins us for an update. Hui, we last spoke on Monday, the day of the coup. What's the latest today? Protests, communications and all that?
Before today, we saw medical workers wearing red ribbons and uploading photos of themselves on social media. Some civil servants have boycotted work, and people are boycotting Mytel, which is a telco partly owned by the military. And of course, every night now, we see people bang pots and pans and whatever they can get their hands on to create as much noise as possible in protest. Today, we saw even more civil servants come out in peaceful protest by wearing these red ribbons. They included university lecturers in the University of Yangon, as well as staff at various ministries in Naypyidaw. A lot of these protests are being coordinated online. So the regime has tried to block Facebook, which resulted in many people trying to download VPNs yesterday and signing up to encrypted apps like Signal.
Right. Well, Hui, the military was in power up until 2011. Between then and Monday's coup, it controlled the ministries of defense, home affairs and border affairs, indicating its influence. So we know the military justified the coup, citing election fraud. Beyond that, though, what power plays behind the scenes could have led to the coup?
Well, the military says the state of emergency was needed because the so-called election fraud threatened Myanmar's sovereignty. Many locals saw this as a plain power grab. Commander-in-Chief Min Aung Hlaing is a powerful person in Myanmar because the constitution makes the military essentially autonomous, as well as a key part of the civilian government. Yep. The senior general was due to retire from service this year when he reaches the age of 65. It has been said that he was eyeing the presidency, but it would not have been possible through the normal route. This is because Ms. Aung San Suu Kyi's NLD party won an overwhelming victory during last November's election.
Yeah. Let's talk about foreign intervention, Hui. Now, US President Joe Biden said the military should step down, and his security advisor said the administration was considering an executive order that could include sanctions. Will US sanctions work, and how might the coup affect Myanmar's economy?
I think the Western countries have very little leverage on this matter. Bear in mind that Myanmar was under direct military rule for about 50 years before 2011, and it managed to survive that time under Western sanctions. Several of the top military leaders remain under sanctions for their role in the Rohingya crisis. And also, the majority of foreign direct investment in Myanmar comes from countries that are very unlikely to impose tough measures on Myanmar because of the coup. There are countries like China, Singapore, Thailand, and Japan. Having said that, a major Thai industrial park developer, Amata, has put a US $1 billion project in Myanmar on hold. And I think beyond sanctions, there is a huge amount of uncertainty about what this regime will do. Will it honor contracts that the NLD government signed? How will it run ministries? Will it tackle corruption? Already, there's some concern that the regime plans to tighten scrutiny of foreigners entering the country. And as I've said before, a lot depends on what the military does in the days ahead. It has tried at various points to block internet connections and Facebook to curb protests. But this has been highly disruptive for businesses, and it will compound the difficulties that Myanmar businesses are already facing because of COVID.